Back in January against Clemson, North Carolina was up 3 in the final seconds of the game. UNC played the possession straight up, and Clemson's Amir Sims hit the game-tying 3 to send it to overtime. In a press conference after the game, Roy Williams explained that he normally fouls up 3, but forgot to tell his team.
My first year at Kansas, we allowed Kansas State to make a 3 at the end of regulation when we were up 3. And I turned to my bench, and Coach Robinson was there. I said, they should fire me today. And ever since then, every time I've had a chance, I've fouled down there. So we have the timeout, and I talked to him, tell B. Rob, because I wanted to give him confidence. And that was the number one thing I wanted to talk about, was to give him confidence to make the shot. I told him, you've got this. This is your time. You're going to make these free throws, and after you make these 3 free throws, we're going to play 22. We're going to switch any screen on the ball, and that was it. They're dribbling the ball across the 10-second line, and I said, you didn't remind them to foul. We do it in practice. I believe in it. I've had some great moments as a coach, and I'd say that right now this is my lowest one because losing this game was my fault.
Later on at the end of the overtime, the situation was actually reversed. This time it was Clemson deciding not to foul, and UNC missed 2 threes in the final seconds. So flash forward to 6 seconds left in the Duke game on Saturday. It wasn't a big surprise that UNC elected to foul, with Andrew Platek sending Trey Jones to the line. The foul or defend debate is one of the most polarizing end-of-game decisions in the sport. People have extreme opinions in support of both sides. In this video, we'll look at the data from Ken Pomeroy's research on the debate, as well as many examples of different successes and failures. As always, if you're looking for more coaching-specific analysis, please follow us on Twitter and subscribe to our Hoop Vision newsletter. I'll put links to both in the description. Just like Roy Williams, it seems like many coaches have a personal anecdote or experience that then influence their fouling up 3 philosophy. On the one hand, choosing to defend is seen as trusting or empowering your players to get a defensive stop. But on the other hand, choosing to foul takes the power entirely away from the other team looking to shoot a 3. When the defense does give up a 3, fouling sure feels like the superior move, and many consider fouling as the better statistical decision. But the data actually indicates a slightly different picture. In Ken Pomeroy's study, he found almost 700 instances where a team was up 3 with between 5 and 12 seconds left in the game and chose to defend. The defense went on to win the game over 93% of the time in those cases. That 93% might seem higher than you would expect. Anecdotally, it does feel like teams hit those 3s all the time. But in Ken's sample, the offense shot just 16% on 3-point attempts in these situations. That's obviously well below the average 3-point shot. And when watching film, I think that number makes some sense. Watch Michigan State's defense on this possession. Because their goal is to take away the 3, they're switching every screen, and their positioning is also completely different. The typical Tom Izzo style is to play in the gaps on defense. All 4 players not guarding the ball would normally be off their man and ready to help. But in this end of game scenario, Izzo is able to change his defense to take away 3s, drastically lowering Wisconsin's probability of finding an open one. The fact that the defense knows what the offense wants is a huge advantage for the defense. Almost every team will switch 1 through 5 in these situations, as well as get their best defenders on the floor. The other important aspect of choosing to defend is that the three doesn't lose you the game, it ties the game. So there's sometimes where you get a chance at a last second shot, or in theory, the worst case is simply overtime. So again, teams that defended won 93% of the time in Ken's sample. On the flip side, there were 138 cases where teams fouled. The fouling team won a very similar 92% of games. The caveat here is that not only is sample size smaller, but foul cases are a little bit subjective to define, especially regarding when the right time frame is to foul. So while 92% may or may not be the exact win probability, Ken's main takeaway from the research was that while fouling has been perceived by many as the analytically savvy strategy, the actual data doesn't really appear to favor a strategy either way. If we go back to the UNC-Duke game, the way that played out was obviously highly unlikely. Tre Jones made the first free throw, intentionally missed the second with the perfect bounce off the rim, got the ball back, and then hit a contested two to send the game to overtime. The play unfolding with that exact outcome was extremely unlikely. Everything had to come together perfectly. But the reason fouling is still somewhere around that 92% is that there are many different mistakes that can happen along the way. Any one of them on its own is highly unlikely, but cumulatively, they start to add up. The first potential problem is fouling too early. Here, Clemson fouls intentionally with 9.3 seconds left. That gave NC State plenty of time to extend the game. In these situations, it almost becomes a free throw contest. When Clemson missed both free throws on the other end, NC State nailed the game-winning three.
Misses again. The rebound comes out to Bryce. A chance for NC State to win it. Beverly for the win. Got it! It's a two-point game with 6 seconds. Watch the trail man. They trailed by as many as 22. It's Van Dyke for the win. He got it!
Committing the foul with 7 to 12 seconds left is pretty clearly suboptimal. You'd much rather wait longer, but even fouls in the 3 to 5 second range have led to losses. Here, UTSA fouled Charlotte with 5.4 seconds left and still lost the game on a buzzer beater 3. In a very similar situation, Iowa fouled Illinois with 5.2 seconds left and allowed a 3 that sent the game to overtime.
Frazier, count it!
And then there's been fouls committed with even less time on the clock, where the game was lost on a half-court buzzer beater, most notably by Chandler Parsons back in 2010.
He got it! He got it! And the Florida Gators have won the game! Chandler Parsons!
But to be fair, it's safe to say that these half-court shots aren't going to go in often. So the clear takeaway here is, in a perfect world, to foul as late as possible. But that's easier said than done. The longer the defense waits to foul, the more risky the foul becomes. One of the most famous examples of that was in the 2010 Sweet 16 between Kansas State and Xavier. Kansas State's foul was called while Tu Holloway was shooting. He made all 3 free throws and sent the game to overtime. Referees inherently play a big role in these intentional foul scenarios.
And he's gonna shoot 3! And see, this is why coaches don't want to foul when they have a 3-point lead. They don't want to foul. He fouled him before that. Did you see that? He fouled him before and there was no call.
And he's the last guy, if you're Kansas State, that you want at the line.
Holloway, take a look right here. Ball comes down right there, freeze it. There's the first foul, as we saw Clemente grab him. And now they didn't call that one. The second foul should have never occurred.
Last year, there was an Oklahoma State foul which was reviewed and called flagrant by the officials. That gave Charlotte 2 shots and the ball back, where they hit the game winner. Another potential issue is when a team tries to foul but it doesn't get called, leaving the defense vulnerable to the 3.
Marquette wants to foul. We'll flip back Marshall. Marshall to tie it. Oh, my goodness. Back to the other end, McEwen. And we're headed to overtime.
On this play, because Alabama is face guarding, they never even really get a safe opportunity to foul. If you could guarantee the ability to foul with exactly 3 to 5 seconds left, it would probably be a no-brainer to do so. But a lot of times, these late-game plays are messy. On this one, Quanzo Martin is yelling at his players to foul, and Anthony Edwards on Georgia hears them and goes into his shooting motion at half court. Just the threat of trying to foul can actually make a pretty big difference on the offense. There's a game theory component to this where it's probably beneficial if the offense isn't sure which strategy you're going to do. The issue with that is that the refs might not know what you're going to do either. Of course, the last way to lose by fouling is with the offensive rebound. Trey Jones is the most recent example, but 2 other notables include Virginia's Elite 8 win over Purdue and John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins' Kentucky team in the SEC tournament.
Jerome, short, back tap, Duke-UNC, a race for it, into the hands of Clark, got a chance to win it here, up the front, here's Duke-UNC for the win! For the tie, Duke-UNC squares it at 70!
They have time to make still, I think, and foul quickly. They're going to miss it. He missed it. Wall, got it. The shot will count, but it's short. Oh, wait a minute, Cousins. It's good. It's good. It's good.
Offensive rebounding percentage tends to increase when the team shooting knows they need a rebound. Not to mention, coaches will generally sub in their best rebounders like Coach K against UNC.
The rebounders are coming in. The big guys are coming in. The shooters are going to go to the bench, it looks like.
None of this is to say that fouling is the wrong choice. Where the ball is inbounded, how much time is on the clock, and the potential shooters involved all play a role. But at the end of the day, the team deciding to foul or defend is in a good position, really whichever way they choose. And in either case, that decision is occasionally going to backfire. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and hit the subscribe button. We'll have more content coming to the channel soon.